So welcome to session 4 of the Brampton Health Forum, put together by Canada, India, USA Development Forum, supported by Advanced Brampton Fund. This is a 12-part virtual health forum where we are bringing together Mayor of Brampton, city and regional councillors, doctors, medical officers of health, frontline workers, MPs and MPPs from Brampton, mental health, diabetes, nutrition, mind, body, wellness, and other experts to provide valuable information to people and businesses here in Brampton and everywhere else. Today we have with us two very highly experienced and knowledgeable speakers from Canadian Mental Health Association, Peel Dufresne, and TLex Institute Canada, as well as Surbhi Joshi, who has founded a wellness app and will share her personal experiences. We will know more about the speakers during the event. We also have a 9-minute special video message from Brampton West MP, Kamal Khera, which will play after the presentations and the speeches today. Let me now introduce the organization and the work we do in a minute or two and recognize the support of our sponsors before we start the presentations. Looking forward to everybody's support, participation and sponsorships to help us take this forward. So let's go to our presentation slides. Canada, India, USA Development Forum is an Ontario, Canada-based not-for-profit organization working to promote bilateral and trilateral relations between Canada, India, and USA. CIUDF organizes events, conferences, and speaker series lectures with prominent corporate and political leaders in all three countries for ideas exchange and knowledge sharing. The forum recently opened up for memberships, and 20 companies and professionals have joined as members in the last few months, with the goal to raise the membership to 300 or more by December 31st next year. CIUDF also hosts virtual member meetings. Once the pandemic measures are eased, we will host in-person brunch meetings for members as well as sponsors. I am the founder, president, and CEO of Canada, India, USA Development Forum. And you can find out more about the organization at our website, Canada, India, USA Development Forum.com. So let's take a look at some of the activities that we do. We host an annual Canada, India Insight Conference. We also host an annual Canada, India, USA Trilateral Conference. We also host regular business leaders roundtables, as well as with political leaders roundtables as well. Membership expansion, as I mentioned. Member networking events, virtual and very soon in person as well. We also do a Consul General's Roundtable, an education forum. We have done 2 sessions so far with presidents and deans and registrars of various leading colleges and universities in Canada, India, and USA, all 3 countries. So that is also an ongoing feature. A health forum, which we are right now participating in. We also have a Canada, India Insight e-publication or e-paper. And we, of course, do various other webinars and virtual sessions on current affairs and issues of importance. So that is what we do. Let us recognize the support of our sponsors, because of whom we are able to put together this health forum. The health forum is supported by Advanced Brampton Fund from the city of Brampton, and the matching funding support has been provided by Best Ayurved, Process Research Cortec, Dentistry on 10, Truly Financial, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Prince Life Sciences, and Tangentia. So with that, I think let us start the speakers part. So we'll start with Surbhi first. Surbhi Joshi. Surbhi Joshi, Guleria Joshi is a TV host turned entrepreneur. She is the founder of Poorna Wellness and wellness advocate for natural and balanced living. Surbhi formerly co-founded the App Lab with her husband and hosted 2 national television shows on Omni Television and Rogers TV. She has served on the board of directors for various not-for-profit organizations. She is a well-known face as she modeled for Holt Renfrew along with some major brands. She has been recognized with several awards for her contributions in the community. So please welcome our first speaker of the day, Surbhi Guleria Joshi. Over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you very much, Vipulji. Thanks a lot. So hello, everyone. My name is Surbhi, and I am so excited for today's session, and I'm really looking forward to see what you get out of it. So first and foremost, I will start with talking about breath, and then I'll talk a little bit about my own story, how I came to create Poorna Wellness, and something that you can take away from it for yourself, and end it with looking at the global situation, everything that's going on, and then bringing it into our own lives, how we can really take any advice or anything in context of our own lives. And now that things are opening up, we're going to talk about how the change is happening right now and how that change can happen in your own life. So first of all, breath or prana, according to our Vedas in yoga, is the essence of life. It is why we're alive. And that really is with us. The only one thing that's with us from the beginning till the very last breath. And during the whole COVID pandemic, as the importance of breath is something that we really kind of became present to. So the average rate of respiration for an average adult when they're resting is anywhere from 12 to 20 breaths. Over around 25 is great, but anything lower than 12 is considered not healthy. And these are general statistics for a healthy adult. When we are stressed, when we have any kind of anxiousness, anxiety, or we are in some sort of like a traumatic experience, it drops down anywhere from 10 to lower. And if that continues over a prolonged period of time, it does have serious effects on our body, on our health, on our mental well-being overall, because it's all connected. So what I invite you to do during this session, because for No Wellness, we're all about practical and doing it right now. So I invite you to sit and correct your posture with your spine straight but comfortable, your shoulders a little back, because when we are leaning forward, digging into our phones and our laptops, our shoulders are usually crunched. That really affects the lungs and the breathing. So we're going to sit back, make sure our posture is great, and then also really kind of take in a full breath where your lungs are inflated, and then your stomach, and then deflating where all the air actually leaves your body and exhales. So let's try one just so we can practice a full breath, because most of us don't consciously do that. So take a full breath in, let your lungs expand, your stomach expand, and then exhale through the nose and exhaling all the air. And whenever you get a chance and whenever you feel that you have that anxious moment and you're feeling stressed, a single breath automatically will really calm down and really kind of restore that the level of stress. So that's one. Now, talking about my own journey and how I have come to creating a digital platform. So we're creating an app which is helping connect natural, holistic experts globally with people who are seeking wellness and a balanced lifestyle. And my journey began when I conceived my daughter. And I knew that I had to take a break from my crazy 14 to 16 hours of work days where I was working constantly, and it was all about getting productive and getting accomplished and getting things done. And you're always constantly running. When I took a break I didn't take a break, but I took a pause to really think about consciously bringing this another human being into the world. I really made a decision that I wanted to be present for my daughter. So before she even came, I started my meditation journey. And I used different tools and found amazing experts. I was very fortunate to find yoga experts and Ayurveda experts to guide me through this journey. And what happened was I learned a lot, and I also was able to see a transformation in how I was physically, mentally, and spiritually, how I was able to connect to the present moment. There was a transformation in terms of the situation seemed like it was outside and in front of me rather than happening all in my head. I saw a little bit of a pace slowing down where I had a lot more time to make decisions, whereas before it was overwhelming and everything was happening at the same time. And I really became present, that I was more conscious and more awake and more aware of my choices, my actions, my words, and how I was dealing with situations. And I had a choice where I could actually change if something didn't go how I wanted it to go. I could actually get better at my at my choices and decision making. So with my daughter was a great example. So even till this date, it's been about 7 years, and there are situations that come up. And as a parent, anybody who's a parent would know that it requires incredible amount of patience and incredible amount of consciousness to be able to deal with a child. And there's so much that I learned from her. But one thing that I do is really be present in that moment. And that's something that's a gift that I've received over the years. And what transpired from that journey was that when I got that for myself, I knew that there was a wealth of wisdom that was not accessible to majority of the people, because it does get very heavy and it gets very complex, a little mystical. It's not easily applicable in our lives. Even if we know what to do to apply it and make it a habit, it is a little bit challenging for most people. So then that's where Poorna Wellness was born, and we were committed to making sure that we offer the knowledge and guidance from these experts and make sure that people are doing it. And the way we make sure is we bring in community. When we are in community, when we have a partner, there is automatically a sense of recognition, a sense of encouragement, a sense of support, and a little bit of competition. So we do these challenges with our community, and there's no kind of stress around that competition. It's all about, I see someone do it and I want to do it because I'm inspired. And we really saw that with us, our community, and I think as socially, we as human beings, we're really influenced by the people we surround ourselves with, the communities we surround ourselves with, and that's where Poorna was born. And we really saw that, and we really are pushing to bring this to everybody in the world. So that's where Poorna journey is, and really, I think anything that we're talking about here, and I really recognize Whipple for creating and Tejas for creating this platform. The one thing that I really feel is that the world experienced the year and continues to with the effects of COVID. What I feel is that it has really slowed down a lot of the standard way of doing and thinking for us to have that opportunity to really have that choice and have that time to become present. And now going forward, it's really up to us what we do with our lives, how we treat the planet. Anything that we do is right now in each present moment. And that's something that we really have that opportunity because we have the vaccine and a lot of things are looking upward. So this is an opportunity to really pause and think about what we really want for ourselves, our children, our global community. And I think that's where Poorna basically means whole and complete. And that's where the journey starts, is it just starts within. And that's where I think the world starts to shift when each one of this is Poorna. So I invite everyone to begin their Poorna journey wherever they are and start to pause and take a little breath. Thank you.
Well said, Surbhi. I believe you also had a few slides that you wanted to show.
I think I'm okay for now. Yeah, I thought I would do an exercise with everybody and okay, ask a few questions, but I think with the essence of time, I think we'll continue with your program. But just sure, the idea that everybody can just be conscious of their breath is good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. No problem. We can do that later as well in maybe some other session. So now we'll move to the second speaker of the day. I'm not sure why Debbie is not here because she only confirmed again yesterday that she got the Zoom invite and she'll be joining and all. So we'll see what happened there. She was with the Canadian Association of Mental Health. Anyway, we'll move to our next speaker, Spencer Delaine. Spencer is a managing director and faculty for the TLex Institute Canada and vice president, International Association for Human Values. For over 13 years, Spencer has conducted self-mastery and team connectedness programs for hundreds of leaders globally, transforming members of the European Parliament, the Federal Government of Canada, the Government of Iraq, Google, DynaCare, Intuit, TD Bank, FIFA, WTA, SAP, GE, and Ford, to name a few. Formerly involved in academic research at Mount Allison and McGill University in the fields of oncology and cardiology, respectively, he has also worked on the corporate side of science in marketing with Novartis Pharmaceuticals and is a certified executive coach. From 2014 to 2019, he was the lead instructor on multiple research studies examining the effects of meditation and sky breathing techniques on depression and anxiety, PTSD in veterans, first responders, and at-risk youth, in partnership with the Schulich School of Medicine at the University of Western Ontario. What a heavy loaded resume that was, Spencer. So I am privileged and honored to call you my friend and to have you on the panel. So over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Vipul, and really thank you both of you, Vipul and Tejas, for organizing this forum. You know, I think you're reaching so many broad, vast variety of people with really important topics, and I think this is really the need of the hour. And I really enjoyed your presentation, Surbhi. Even the name, I think it's so beautiful, Poorna. It's almost comes from like Purnima, the fullness, you know, and that's really it's so important that we get connected with the help we need. So, you know, I really do encourage everyone to check out the platform because it could make a real difference for you, I think. So thank you once again, everyone, for attending. Those of you that are watching on Facebook now or down the road, usually we say before we do any kind of talking or we do any kind of presentation or anything like that, we say you should feel at home. However, for most of us, you are home. So there's not too much of a stretch there. So you should feel, feel comfortable. And of course, hopefully we'll have a bit of time for any questions if anyone does have. And then of course, you can contact any one of us if you'd like to know more specifically about your own situation. So I did bring a presentation. So I'll just move over to that now. One moment here. So just give me a moment. Okay. I think my computer has to do some breathing this morning. Okay, there we go. I think we got it. We're gonna just share now. Okay, here we go. So, let's see here. This is working. Are you able to see my my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, super. So of course we are the TLex Institute. It's called Transformational Leadership for Excellence, and we focus really on training for mental agility, social connection, connecting the teams, and commitment. So our goal is really to focus on the individual. We use a variety of tools, also very similar to what Surbhi touched on. The breath is a very powerful tool, and we have some very unique proprietary techniques that we use to get you centered within yourself. How can I lead someone else if I can't lead myself? So once we've done that with some very powerful self-mastery techniques, then we move on to social connection, connecting the team, exploring questions like, what is the mechanism of trust? How do we build trust? They say that in business and in life, any relationship moves at the speed of trust. So social connection is important. And then commitment, we work on activities, techniques, interactions that are not just a one and done, but something you can really incorporate into your life. So I hope that we can share a few things that are of interest and are relevant, and also will make an impact for you as well. So let's get going. We work with a variety of clients around the world. This is just a small kind of subsection. You can see a bunch of our Canadian clients, but we also have operations in Europe and in Asia, Central and South America, as well as US and Canada. But what we've come to talk about today is really the impact of stress and the pandemic. And I think, the number that comes across the most here is the one in the middle. 50 billion with a year is the cost to employers due to stress-related healthcare and missed work in Canada. So, this isn't just a couple bucks. This is a massive amount that we are spending to help resolve this problem of stress. In addition to that, this is information in polls from the Conference Board of Canada and the State of the American Workplace. 80% of people feel stress sometimes or frequently throughout the day. And then 67% of employees are not engaged or actively disengaged at work. So would you believe it that these statistics are actually not from the pandemic? These statistics are before the pandemic. So if you can believe it, it's gotten even worse, which is disappointing. I mean, I know some of us, it's been an amazing opportunity to go inward. We've built a lot of strength and skills, But I think for what we can say from the Conference Board of Canada, the majority of us, is that actually it's really been taken a real toll on our health. And this is some information from one of the latest polls from the Conference Board of Canada, looking at, if you look at the first chart, that's before the pandemic. So from a scale of 1 to 10, the concern about mental health was, we look like we're averaging about a 3. And now, you know, during the pandemic, as we move out of it, we've moved much higher on the scale. I think, you know, 6 to 10 of an intensity of worry about my mental health from the past was about 4.5%. And now almost actually over 40% of the people that were polled were sharing that their mental health is really a serious issue and it's of great importance to them. So appropriate our topic today that we've brought about, that Vipul has shared with us. You know, really that is the question, isn't it? How do we take care of our mind and body during the pandemic and now beyond as we move out of it? You know, on a personal note, I can say us as a TLex, from a business perspective, we had in Canada, we had about 7 clients, big contracts lined up in person. And within a matter of days, they all dissolved. And suddenly, you know, I think, you know, I see some heads nodding, you know, as a business owner, as a business leader, you can realize, well, you know, we have to do something about this. And really overnight, I really congratulate our team for being able to come up with a whole range of online programming that we created. And we really took advantage of this, this experience. And then now, as we move out of the pandemic, we came up with a new program and approach. And it's a very holistic approach. So I thought I would share kind of a little bit of a snapshot of that, if that's interesting for everybody. People on Facebook, you can't say yes or no, so I'll just assume it's a yes and move forward still. So the program is actually called TLex Resilience. And, you know, if you look about it, during the pandemic, I think one of the main things is that we've been so cut off. You know, I had a few conversations with Vipul and, you know, just talking about how, you know, the workplace is different. You don't have those nice conversations on the side with people at the water cooler or by the coffee machine, you know, that we used to have. We don't have those kind of social connections, and many people are feeling really isolated and not having, and it's putting a lot of stress really on all the employees, not only our mental health, but our physical health as well. And really even our inspiration, our commitment to the work we're doing. So we looked at our whole team. We started doing a lot of really intense research, and we're really fortunate to have many top physicians in Canada, the US, and different parts of Europe, as well as different researchers on the topic. We started to examine the research, and what we found was needed was that building of that foundational resilience, you know, that aspect that allows you to thrive even in difficult situations, you know, that allows you to treat these difficult situations actually to connect back with your strength. You know, has anyone ever done any pottery before? Anybody? Okay, great. So we have a few people. And, you know, when you make the pottery, do you just leave it on the counter when you're done? Do you just make the pottery on the wheel and leave it on the counter? Well, no, right? What do? You put it in the oven. You put it in the oven at 700 degrees Celsius. Is that a comfortable temperature? Is a very uncomfortable temperature, actually. But what does it do to the pot? Yeah, it makes the pot so strong, actually. It enables you to really pour anything you want into that pot. So in the same way, these difficult situations, if we're able to connect with that powerful resilience that already resides within us, then actually we can use this difficult experience as something that can make us stronger and as a new opportunity. So like I said, we came up with TLex resilience. It's a 21-day resilience challenge. And it's an opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a, I guess like a mini workshop every day, 20 minutes a day, where you get an experience, you get to connect with colleagues, and you can do it from home or the office. It's very, very flexible. We could say the way we looked at resilience when we all got together, and we had a lot of meetings and a lot of research happened. We found that there were really 4 different keys or 4 dimensions to develop those resilience muscles, and so I'll share those with you now. What we found, and this is, I guess you could say, our unique approach to building resilience. It's definitely not the only one, so there's many out there. But there you go. You get a little bit of a snapshot of the way we were approaching the subject. Don't want to go there just yet. So the first aspect is the mental aspect of resilience, right? So we were talking about, even in the topic, how has this affected our physical and mental well-being? Well, what we found in the research and from our own personal experiences and the courses we've taught is that there are really 2 foundational aspects of mental resilience. One is presence and mindset. So one part of that would be self-awareness, becoming more aware, more mindful about what we're doing. And the other aspect is that self-management. And that really does tie in very well, what Surbhi was sharing before about using the breath, And so there are many wonderful self-mastery tools that we teach using the breath, mindfulness, meditation, in order to really develop those muscles within. The second aspect is development and learning, right? I think many of us use the pandemic to develop a new skill, right? To exercise our creativity. So if we're able to develop professionally and also personally, if there's a balance there, what we've seen in our personal experience and also in the research is that we can really build some strong mental resilience. So that's the first aspect. Second aspect is physical. I can say for me, my workouts were pretty strong before the pandemic, and the COVID belly started to come up a little bit, So seeing how we can both have a balance between health, fitness, and relaxation, that dynamism between the 2, action and rest, and also wealth as well, financial abundance, right? We can be very fit and we can be very relaxed, but if we can't put food on the table for our families, put clothes on the backs of our kids, well, we're not in such a good space. It's part of the Pavlov's hierarchy of needs. So with wealth, not only the material wealth, but that mental aspect of feeling a sense of abundance. And that's what the latest research has shown, that it's not just the amount of money you have in the bank account. What they found was that, the kind of ideal amount for maximum amount of happiness and fulfillment was 75,000 USD. That was the amount that they saw that people that had much more than that, their level of happiness and fulfillment, it didn't necessarily change that much. But the mindset was a big deal. So people that had maybe they had $1 million a year coming in, but they had a sense of lack. They didn't have that sense of abundance. Their level of happiness and fulfillment was compromised. So we need to have that balance between the material wealth and also that wealth of an abundance mindset. The third aspect is the social aspect, right? And this is something that really we missed out on. and that's really, you know, relationships are very important. You know, I mean, some of the most recent studies have shown that really having a life partner that you can sincerely share with, that you can really just let down your guard, you know, and have that kind of support is a very powerful way to be able to reduce stress and increase that resilience. And then of course, family and friends and colleagues is also important. You know, it's not just, we're not you know, mechanical robots, or at least not yet. I mean, Elon Musk has other ideas, but until he does, let's stay on the human being aspect. We need to interact. We need to be together. You know, that's why it's so wonderful you've created these forums so we can do it online. And it's great to be on the screen, but there's something about that person-to-person contact, isn't it? So in that aspect as well, it's not just a part of our experience, but that's what we've seen with the science as well. And then the last aspect that we focused on is the purpose aspect. So you know, being able to have a greater goal. You know, what is my connection to society? You know, is it just to make bags and bags of money? Or is there something I can do for my family? Is there something I can do for my community? Is there something I can do for the world to make things better for someone else? And, you know, for example, we feel really proud that we're connected with a wonderful organization in India. It's called Care for Children. And we have, I think, close to 750 or 800 schools now. And that we're supporting. And it's free schooling to all of these children and their parents. The kids get the uniform, the meals, of course, the schooling, all the materials they need. And the transformations have been amazing, you know, just to see kids come from a place where they really had no future, and then now some applying to medical school and law school at this point. It's really amazing. I feel so fortunate to be able to support that project. And then also the planet, you know, how are we able to run our business and our lives so we can support the planet as well? Next one, I touched on it, was connection to myself. And, you know, are you living in line with your values? You know, we saw and we've seen from a lot of the studies we were looking at that if doesn't matter how good we are at our job, if it's not in line with our values, it can have a really detrimental effect on our mental health. And then spirituality, you know, however that shows up for you. You know, some people like to pray, some people like to meditate, some people like to be in nature. You know, this can show up in a number of ways, but how do you connect with that most inner aspect of who you are? You know, and what we've seen, particularly in the most recent research around silence, is that taking some time in silence can have a very powerful de-stressing impact. You know, whether it's sipping your herbal tea or maybe your chai in the morning. I know I like a good chai from time to time. And taking those few moments, smelling the aromas, feeling the taste, being in silence, or maybe it's going on a meditation retreat. Whatever that happens to be, connecting with your inner self is also a very powerful and an important part. So with that, you know, we've gone over a few different examples of what you can do in those 4 different dimensions. And I'd really like to thank you for having this opportunity. If it does interest you, I welcome you to join us on our journey, our resilience journey on TLex institute.com. Over to you, Vipul. I'll stop the sharing now. Did I do this? There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Spencer. So Tejas will also like to ask a couple of questions, but before that, I'll just put across one big question, which both Spencer and Surbhi can answer. You gave us some tips and everything, what to do, how to stay balanced, you know, relax, things like that. Now, my question is more on a practical level. last 16, 17 months, as we all know, a lot of people's lives have really turned upside down. A lot of people's businesses have been destroyed. People have lost their family members, loved ones. I know quite a few people who were about to start new businesses. They had leased premises, and then suddenly everything stopped. So they are still paying HST and TMIs and everything, not getting any government benefits because it's not an operational business, and they are still waiting for the last 15 months. So it's been a very, very stressful time. So I mean, while they know what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to relax and do what, where do you bring that focus? How, I mean, your ultimate priority, maybe in many cases, your only priority is to start earning money, so you can pay your bills, so you can survive, while you can do other things later. So, I mean, that's my question to you as an expert. You know, when it's a bread and butter issue, where do you start? I mean, you know, yes, your mental health is affected. Because of that, your body is also affected. And you are getting some really long-term health issues, which you're not aware of right now, which you will realize maybe 5 years, 10 years from now, but where do you focus? Where do you find that focus?
Go ahead,
That's,
Surbhi.
yeah, I'll start with you, Spencer, and then Surbhi.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, such difficult times it's been, and really it's such a stressful situation where the benefits are not coming, pressure from the family, just for the basic necessities, in that state, what can you do? Well, one thing I would say is that, the state of your mind reflects the quality of your life. And if your state of mind is a complete mess, how can you do anything? Even the basic things, because the anxiety is so high, you can get into like a frozen rabbit. You just freeze and you don't know what to do.
Exactly.
The mind, isn't it? Yeah, the
Yeah.
mind becomes blank, so much pressure and stress. So, you may think, okay, well, no, I have no time to address my mind. I need to be in action. But if you're running in the wrong direction, it doesn't make sense, actually. So one thing, that would be very helpful would be to see if you can, how you can address your mind. So important, and when we're speaking about the mind, it's a little bit difficult, to address, because the mind is not something like an arm, a broken arm, or whatever it may be, like that physical ailment. It's something a little more subtle. Maybe some people have had problems with insomnia with the pandemic, so much stress, and can you convince yourself to sleep? Well, for most of us, you can't. Oh, I'm a double PhD. Go to sleep. Let me convince myself to sleep. It's like, or force myself to sleep, really force yourself a lot. It doesn't work. So in order to address the mind, we need to use something that is more subtle than the mind, but it's tangible enough that we can use it, actually. And this is where the breath becomes very useful. The breath is the link between the body and the mind. It's kind of like, if you think of the breath, the kite as the mind, the breath is like the string. And I think also this is a part of our experience, right? Like, for instance, how do you breathe when you're feeling anxious? Usually faster, you breathe only a little bit, right? And then how do you breathe when you're feeling very happy and relaxed? Yeah, much more, exactly. Yeah, your breath expands much, much more, exactly. So we can see, usually we're feeling a certain way, and it's reflected in our breath. But I think what would be useful is to learn some more about your breath, learn some different breathing techniques that can act in the opposite way. We can use particular breathing technique to actually help calm and soothe the mind. And for instance, if I can just very quickly show you something, we could put your one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And if you like, you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in just through the nose. We're going to breathe in and out through the nose. You can take a deep breath in, breathe the belly, bloating the belly in through the nose, bloat the chest and raise the clavicles. Now hold the breath when you get to the top of your breath. Hold the breath. Now very slowly breathe out. Bring the navel in and bring the clavicles and the chest down. Once again, through the nose, breathe in, deep breath. Hold the breath. And as you breathe out, bring the navel in and let the chest and clavicles fall. One last time, breathe in through the belly, chest, clavicles, hold the breath. And breathe out, bring the belly in and let the chest and clavicles fall. And if you like, with the eyes closed, just for one moment, you can have the hands on the knees, palms facing up. Just observe the sensations in the body, state of the mind. And slowly, gradually, we can open the eyes. How does it feel? It's nice, huh? Just very, yeah, simple, small thing. And imagine if you do that, imagine doing that 10 times or 20 times. It will help reduce that level of stress and, you know, the anxiety in your mind, so you can take action, which is the most important one. And of course, this is just very simple technique. We have more, you know, more powerful techniques, but then you can register for workshop and learn those as well.
Thank you, Spencer. Over to you, Surbhi. Same question.
Yes. So my friend said this, and I really think it makes so much sense. So we are all in our different boats, but we're part of the same storm. And the fact that globally we experienced the pandemic, but each one experienced it differently, even in the same household. Every person had their own set of challenges, and that could look different for each person. But what I saw was across the different people that we interviewed, that there was a level of resilience and a level of adaptability to the situation. And even through a lot of the stress, which was something that we experienced at some level, there was the success of managing through any situation. And that's where I feel that as humans is our superpower. And going back to where my work is in terms of the ancient wisdom, which we're resurfacing now in the modern context, what really became true to me, and something that really gave me that kind of passion to pursue my business, was that everything, like out there in the universe, everything that we see in our lives, everything that's happening outside externally, that's all happening outside. And then inside, within our inner universe, and then mind, obviously, like Spencer said, like that has a lot of control over how we see things. But along with the mind, the body, and then the deeper sense of our being, which is what I call when the body, mind, spirit come together in union, in harmony, that's our state of feeling complete, being complete. And each one of us is whole and complete. If we weren't, we wouldn't exist. Like a cell is a complete entity on its own, and so it exists. And so each one of us, we are whole and complete. So just knowing that, just bringing ourselves back to that reality that we are whole and complete. And then we do these affirmations, which basically say, I am whole, I am complete, I have everything I need. And that is just to reaffirm what is, but we are not present to it because we're so out there, because we have these things which are in front of us and they're problems that seem, they're so surmountable, they're so huge. And then when we're in that space of that outer kind of ring, as we define it in the Poorna wellness model, it's our health, our wealth, our well-being, our finances, our relationships, all of it is where the world is happening. And we don't see many solutions. We see problems. And like Einstein and all the brilliant people have said, that you cannot solve the same problem with the same mindset that has created it. So in order to be in a position where not like you were feeling in the corner of your life and there's no doors and windows, there's no light coming in, to go to your center and to be grounded in that Poorna of being whole and complete, not only opens opportunity and solutions where you see many doors as possible things that you can do from where you are when you're in your center, when you're grounded. And then from there, what possibilities open up? Humans are capable of so much more than we even realize. We don't even realize our own power. And COVID pandemic, it is something that is real in the world, but taking it down to your own life, like it feels so overwhelming right here. But if you take it down to like really like going to your core and center and taking that time to be still, like Spencer said, silence. Being in that space allows for something to open up, which is infinite. We exist as living beings in this floating planet. It's in the middle of the universe that's ever expanding. It is limitless. And that's where I think the connection to the spirit is really, really important. And I think this pandemic is going to help us realize that we got to go deeper than our minds and our bodies into our spirit. And that's where I feel really passionate about. So I really hope that everybody gets something out of this talk at least.
Thank you so much for that, Surbhi and Spencer. So I had a question in terms of, Surbhi, this is mainly towards you, because you brought up that your journey towards Poorna started when you conceived, and it's a pretty gendered thing. Not much men can do in that part, other than be there, I guess. So is it necessary to have or bring a gendered lens to mental health, or is this something that yes, there are universal aspects to mental health. Everybody has the same, quite similar or related concerns. So how do we, is that an important aspect? Like, whenever we approach or talk about or think about mental health, should we always start with that gendered approach? Or is that something that, you start talking about mental health and then, yes, we can also then split it along gender lines?
That is that question directed to me, or can Spencer participate? Okay.
Spencer can jump in if he has anything. But
I would love to hear, definitely, I'm sure he's got immense contribution in that space. So what the statistics show for women, it's staggering in terms of like women losing, it just in the US, I think like more than 1 million women by the end of December 2020 had lost their jobs. Either they couldn't handle the caretaking role, or they had to leave, or they were fired. And majority, I think 14% were hired back at the beginning of this year, and 14% were hired, and majority of them were men, and women obviously didn't make that cut. it was partly of choice, and partly I think it's just that the bias exists. And the burnout for women and mothers and generally has been incredible. It's been huge. And I've talked to a lot of women, and I've been on forums and groups, and we've created spaces for women to really participate. And we see that it has deeply impacted a lot of women. And they have been pushed in this role of caretaking, home caretaking, and being at whatever work that they can do. So this is real, and this is something that we're trying to tackle and be part of the solution along with many other people. But I think for men, it's been different. And for any person with any preference or however they see it as an individual, it's different for each person. So for women, I feel like that's something that they're pushed into the caretaking role. And it's going to have its impact. So that burnout and everything we're starting to see. And we asked a question in one of the forums, and we said, like, you know what, women immediately are given this caretaking role without having that choice or being asked the question, would you like to do this, or would you like to go to work and like somebody else takes on the other roles? This choice is missing, that freedom is missing. And that's something that came up in one of the forums I was in. And the answer was that it's changing, where a lot of the partners and men and the family, they want to support, and they're taking in, they're stepping in, but there is still so much that the woman instinctively, or like there's so much that is expected from society that falls on the shoulders of women. And this is something that will require everybody to participate in that discussion. And there's a lot of work to be done, as it is in a lot of areas when it comes to Indigenous women, right? Like there's a lot of gap right there. So how do we, as responsible, not just citizens, Canadian citizens or like global citizens, as human beings, how do we think about that? And what actions do we take to bring about some level of freedom and choice for each individual for their life choices? So I think it's a great question, Tejas. And yeah, Spencer, like if you do have anything that you want to contribute.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Surbhi more. And I think obviously Surbhi is the expert in this question, that's for sure. I mean, she's speaking from experience as well as, you know, what she's been researching. But one thing I can also share just from what we've seen is that many of the women, like Surbhi was saying, that we've spoken with and that have been on our programs, they wear so many multiple hats, really. And many multiple hats that often the men are also not doing. You know, sometimes the man is also doing, but majority not so much, actually. You know, and now more and more, as Surbhi was saying, couples are sharing these responsibilities. So, you know, a woman has a tremendous load, you know, especially when she's also working in the workforce, she's taking care of the kids, she's taking care of the family. And what we've seen is that many of these women, they feel that it's selfish to take time for themselves. You know, they're so much in a giving mode that, you know, they're not taking time to take care of themselves. You know, how could I do this? How could I take care of myself when I should be, you know, feeding my daughter, or how could I do this when I should be getting this for the family, or how could I do this when, like that. So I think for, you know, even some women, just taking that time is a really big step, because they're so used to doing so much for everyone else. And so much so that I know on our workshops, a lot of the time we have this discussion around, you know, how really serving yourself is the best service for everyone else. And just taking that small amount of time for you, of course, I mean, you deserve it. that's one thing. And then the other part is that, if the family needs some explanation, you can say, okay, well, if you'd like me to be a great mom, or a great dad, particularly speaking about women at this point, a great mom, I need to take this time for myself. I need this small amount of time so that I can really be present and I can be there for you. Otherwise, it's like we're driving around town and the tank is on empty and we say, oh, I have no time to get gas. Look at the list of things I have to do. There's no time to get gas, right? Well, there's going to be time to get gas very soon. The tank on empty. So in that sense, that's what I've seen, is that the woman is really the hero of the family, and seeing how we can support her to have that small amount of time for her, I think we've seen has been really helpful.
Great. Thank you so much, Spencer. And I guess I'll ask another one, go in the reverse order. So Spencer, we'll start with you. And from gender, let's go to seniors, because in my one of the other hats I wear is I'm the CEO of PCHS Foundation, which works with an organization called Punjabi Community Health Services, which is based out of Brampton. And one of the programs they run is with the Seva Food Bank is called Langar on Wheels, where they supply customized meals to seniors who are homebound. Because seniors have mobility issues, they may not be able to go around, and especially in the pandemic, that has become more pronounced, right? Restrictions and concerns, and some of them, and they have dietary restrictions. As you age, the doctor probably recommends less fat, less salt, for instance, something or the other. So the Langar on Wheels program creates, has those customized meals, custom-made meals, and then delivers them to the seniors. So, and some of the feedback that has been received is that it does impact, there is some connection for the seniors with the outside world as such, and it's that familiarity, right? Like they used to get the Langar on Wheels before the pandemic a bit more regularly, but because of the pandemic and to reduce chances of infection, it's now fewer days, same number of meals, but delivered together. So how does, what are the different aspects of mental health when you're talking about seniors, and what, if anything, is some, that should be focused on, or that you think would be a good thing for society as such to consider as we emerge from this pandemic?
Well, first of all, Tejas, I really congratulate you on leading this wonderful organization. Really, it's the first time I've heard of it, and I'm so happy that exists. So thank you for the work you and your team are doing, really. I think this is a big part of what is needed, is that the seniors become very isolated. It's a different stage of life, and some cultures, have this aspect where the seniors will move in with the family. So they're with the family, they have the contact. But in the fast-paced, kind of more different lifestyle we live now, often the families are living separate from the seniors, the parents. And this can, because of the, no intentional thing on the family's part, but because of the busy pace of life, they can become very isolated, not so much contact, not so much visits. So I think organizations like yours are really, really amazing way to have some kind of contact with those seniors. And I know it's a real highlight, for their day, and helps their mental health a lot. And then, I think, this is around that people aspect of the resilience wheel that we were talking about, looking at how we can really honor that wisdom within those seniors. I think there's so many ways that even online, without leaving the home, because those people, like, as you said, are at more risk for COVID and all these kinds of things. So maybe not possible for them to leave the home, but there can be other ways of interacting, whether it be online, volunteering their services in some way, bringing them together. I know once things get better and we're kind of out of the risk area a little bit more, there's some wonderful programs that exist. I know even back when I was a student, this is going back like 20 years ago now, but let's have some nice memories. And there was a program where there was a student would move in with a senior, often a senior that was alone. And it worked out really nicely because the senior, of course, was living in their home or their apartment, and they would invite a student to come in. So they have that company, they would have meals with the student, and then the student would save, they'll have like a discounted rent kind of a thing. So I think one aspect is that people aspect, which is so important. And then another aspect, once again, is seeing how, we can give them the tools and the resources for healthy habits. Very simple things like food. I can say, for example, with my own mother, she was living in Beamsville. She's now moved actually to Yellowknife with my sister, but she was on our side for a while there. And like when she's with us, then we're cooking together and all that kind of thing. But when she was on her own, she was cooking mainly just TV dinners every night. So that nutritional aspect is not so much there, and that doesn't help. Yeah, exactly. So then now, so I think that aspect of seeing how we can help improve the nutrition, I think even just I have friends of mine that are also seniors that are in their 70s, and what we found is that they're watching CNN all day. And I mean, CNN in smaller proportions is good, you get some information, but if you watch it 24/7, that fear and anxiety that comes is, it just demoralizes you and draws your mood down, right? So from that aspect, that would be good. And yeah, a little bit of some way we can get them moving, some exercise, maybe some pranayama, light chair yoga would also be good. And seeing how we can get them connected with the kids. I see your beautiful daughter came in there. She's so lovely.
Thank you.
She's so beautiful. She's so lovely. I love it. The seniors, it's like the kids are the antidepressants for the seniors, really. And the more we can have that natural connection, I know, in our family as well, like the kids are there, and my mom is there, and she's so happy, to have all the kids around. So if we can make those connections more strong, that will help too. And yeah, I would love to hear from Surbhi.
Sure.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Spencer.
Just before that, after this, I'll ask one brief question to both of you, and then we'll take MP Kamal Khera's video message.
Wonderful.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you, Spencer. I think that's really, really, those are really great points. And I honestly feel strongly about that the society that we live in, and there's so many missing links. Like we have forgotten the integral thread of the weaving of our society, and we forget that we're going to get old, and we're not just doing this. Each one of us is not just responsible for taking care of our seniors, but this is something we're doing and building a system for our own selves. So I think there is a lot of like gaps that are really coming forth due to the pandemic, and the support system for caretakers, the support system for seniors, support system, how our kids are taken care of in like quality childcare settings. How is the support system working with high quality and full, like high quality of life experience for all ages and all citizens? And this is where like we're really fortunate to be in Canada. In India, there are certain pockets which are privileged, but when we look at globally, this is something which is a gap. And this is not something which is like separate from us. We're absolutely responsible and part of it. And the fact that Spencer's organization is contributing to the kids' schools, that's incredible. That's like, that's to show the social responsibility that goes with any corporation. And I think that's where the world is shifting. And I definitely think that there's so much work to be done. And with the young people, I think they have so much energy and so many good ideas. And I think I'm just going to look at around the room and I'm like, we have millennials and a little bit of the baby boomers or like the Gen X. We have our responsibility cut out for ourselves so that we can support anybody who wants to make a difference and to really see that change happen in our lifetime, and being a contribution to show them how the world works and whatever we can impart on them. So I think as corporate, as responsible citizens, I think it's such a huge responsibility to do what we can in whatever way we can. And thank you for having this opportunity to talk about it, Tejas. I think that was a great, and PCHS, I had the fortune of attending the fundraiser and contributing, but I really thank you for bringing that up, and I will look into it in terms of what we can do to support.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Vipul.
Sure. So looking at the time, actually, I'll just ask one brief question, and maybe you can give us brief remarks, and then we'll take the video, and then I will deliver the closing remarks. So it's similar to what Spencer just brought up, CNN, right? So news channels, over the last 16, 17 months, most people have been glued to either their TV, Netflix, Amazon, Amazon Prime, smartphones, news channels. Most of the time, it's either the first wave, second wave, third wave, 506th wave. It's been one negativity after another. On Netflix, on Amazon Prime, there's a lot of sex, a lot of negativity, a lot of violence. I mean, even the games, video games, people and kids play. There's a lot of violence, a lot of stuff, that you would rather not do. So in terms of mind, what are we taking in, for the last 16, 17 months, non-stop? And sometimes I've seen people glued to their TV, Netflix, like 5 hours, 6 hours, non-stop, So what does it do to your mind? Number one. Number two, when you're just sitting on the couch, eating and watching, that means you're not exercising. Your body is also getting wasted. So it's affecting both your mind and body. Now the danger is when things are opening up, people are getting back to work and whatnot. For some, it may be very difficult to break through this habit, right? So if they can't do it during the daytime, maybe they'll do it when they come back from work. So this will now disturb your sleep patterns. This will now disturb your weekends. So how to take care of that? It's a really addiction issue now that is affecting mind and body more than people may even realize.
Would you like to go ahead, Surbhi, or?
Spencer, you'll have to go ahead because my daughter was here, so I wasn't fully present to the question.
No problem. Vipul, I think you bring up a really great point, because the world we live in is so different from what it was in the past. All these devices and, 24-hour news channels and, email and social media, it was supposed to save us so much time. Back in the day, we were working so hard and we thought, oh, if we only had this, then we would just work 1 hour a day and done,
Well, the phones have become smarter. People have become dumber.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
Because the phone is now controlling you rather than the other way around.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think that friend I was sharing about, he had a a very dear friend of mine, and he was like in his mid 70s, and I shouldn't say mid 70s, 72. He get angry if I say mid 70s. So he had high blood pressure, and we figured out is that the only change he had in his behavior, diet stayed the same, exercise stayed the same. The only change was he was watching the CNN the whole day. And so we decided he was able to reduce that to just 1 hour a day. And you know what? The blood pressure went down. Can you believe it? Just one simple change like that, and I mean, that's the thing, it's a double-edged sword, like you said, very, very well, and you explained very nicely. These are all tools, you can with a knife, you can cut the bread or you can cut your finger, both you can do. So these are tools, and we need to see how we can use them effectively, and responsibly, really, and that is also a challenge if we look deeper into it, because many of the services and the tools that we use, they're free. And when a service or tool is free, what does that mean? Well, if the product is free, that means that you are the product. your information everything is being, observed and categorized and used to sell as a product to other people. So then, yeah, we need to start being, I would say, if more aware about, how we use certain tools, and if they're really necessary, in our life. Sometimes we want to get a release. So maybe we could do some scrolling on Instagram for a funny video or something like that. But how much real deep relaxation and rest is that giving us? Well, not so much, actually. It's just we get drawn into this thing. Okay, maybe if I scroll a little further down, then I'll find a really good one. And it just it just continues, right? So I think that's it, seeing how we can get back to something more central within us, like Surbhi was saying so nicely, seeing how we can connect with that source within us, with that self. If we're able to take a few minutes in doing that, our awareness, our mind becomes very clear. And then we can start to take responsibility. We can start to use these tools, more effectively. If we're getting a little bit too addicted to one, we can kind of get that in check, And I think really we need to start with first principles. And once we've done that, then we'll start to make better choices, whether we're in a pandemic or even once we've gotten out of it as well.
Sure. Well said, Spencer. So just for Surbhi, I'll just repeat the question for you. Maybe just quick 30-second reply from you on that. I was saying that over the last 16, 17 months, people have been watching a lot of news, channels, and all they see is the first wave, the second wave, the third wave, maybe, possibility of fourth wave, fifth wave, constant sort of fear mongering, negativity, death, destruction, whatnot. On top of that, people have been addicted to Netflix and Amazon Prime and smartphones and social media, a lot of violence, a lot of sex, a lot of negative stuff. Even the video games are now, almost all of them are very violent. So I was saying that what have we been grabbing, in our mind for the last year and a half? Constant negativity, constant violence, constant fear mongering. So what is it doing to our mind, first of all? And when you are just sitting in front of a couch, in front of a TV on a couch, 5 hours, 6 hours, some of the web series are so addictive, people cannot stop. As soon as you finish episode 1, episode 2 starts on its own. So before you grab a remote, episode 2 is already on. So now you have to finish 3 episodes, 4 episodes. It becomes, there is no end to it. So it's also affecting your body. Because you're not exercising, you're not moving, you're just sitting there eating. The more TV you watch, after every 2 hours, you will feel like eating something. So, I mean, you are really torturing your mind and body both for the last 18 months. And the danger I was thinking is now, even if people get back to normal life, hopefully, how do you break this habit now? You know, you have become so used to it, you have become so addicted to it. How do you get out of this vicious cycle?
Thank you, Vipulji. I just want to mention that like the time we're over, and if that's okay for you, I do want to answer the question the best that I can and take a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Because I definitely don't want the attendees to leave with the note that this is what it is the existing situation. So Vipulji, I think you really kind of captured what the experience or the life experience for an everyday person is, and this is common for a lot of people. That's how life is happening. And when you say that, what the visual that comes to my mind is that we are in a cage and we are kind of captivated and limited by a lot of these tools and devices and the information that is limiting us. And we don't see it. We don't see it. We are inside of it. And the time that we actually are able to put ourselves out of this situation and see ourselves, that what our daily life looks like, we're able to kind of separate ourselves. And that's the first step in meditation, and just like simple breathing, like just taking 5 minutes a day is one way that you can start to put yourself and step out of that cage. If you're not happy with your life where you are right now, take 5 minutes. 5 minutes of just sitting and breathing. Let your mind wander. Just bring it back to your breathing. Just focus on your breathing. That's all. Once we start to take like one little step and see ourselves outside it, we actually realize that we as human beings are meant to fly. Like we are meant to really kind of live our life to its fullest. And whatever that looks like for you. The simplest thing that I can say is that the essential spiritual purpose of a cell is to live its most, to have the most incredible and the best experience of life itself. And we want to experience life. That's why we're trying to grab onto whatever we can find, because that's what we know. But the essential purpose for each human being is how can we experience life in its fullest form? Because we're life itself. And we want to experience it. We want to live whole. We want to be whole. But in order to do that, we're not able to shift from this cage that we're in and be able to soar and fly, is because we're stuck in it. And once we start to see ourselves stuck in it, that's when we start to choose. And really kind of that flight and that freedom and that choice and being alive is much more fulfilling, happy, full of all kinds of joy, and not it's not anything compared to the two. So I really thank you for this opportunity. And that's I think that's something that I invite everybody to do, is be well, be whole, and live your most whole and fulfilling life.
Thank you. Well said, Surbhi. So we all need a lot of detox, for what we have been doing last 15, 16, 18 months. So we have one more last thing to do. Tejas, if you're ready, we can play the video by Kamal Khera. Kamal Khera is the Member of Parliament for Brampton West. She has sent us a video message for today's session. So we'll take that video message, and after that, I will give my closing remarks. And just to say, after this event is over, we'll do the editing of the video And then it will be posted again on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, on both our websites. And it also goes to about 600 to 700 people on WhatsApp, which they will also forward, I am sure, to their own contacts. So we get a lot more viewers actually after the event than during the live event. So over to you, Tejas, if you are ready with the video. No sound. No sound, Tejas, no sound.
I think in Zoom there is a sound option. If you go into advanced.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Beautiful riding from Brampton West, and allow me first and foremost to thank you and thank the Canada India USA Development Forum today for giving me an opportunity to chat with you virtually and to connect with all of you, and allow me to also thank my good friend Vipul for organizing a series of these forums, health forums, over the course of this pandemic. I think it's certainly bringing our communities together from all across the world, talking about issues that are so important domestically, but also internationally with the pandemic. So thank you, Vipul, for all the work that you have been doing to make this happen. And I wanted to start off briefly, just talk a little bit about, here in Canada and certainly here in Ontario, talking about an extremely important milestone, I think, that needs to be celebrated and acknowledged. And that is that over 50% of all residents in Ontario are now fully vaccinated. And I think that's really quite a milestone. Just think back to 16 months ago when this pandemic hit to now where we are now. And I think it's something that we need to celebrate and thank all members of our community from, governments working together with the federal government, certainly, which I'm proud to be part of, that has delivered over 53 million doses so far, from Peel Public Health to our healthcare professionals, pharmacists, nurses, doctors, administering these doses, but also community leaders and volunteers that are stepping up, and people like Vipul that are having these forums and encouraging people to get vaccinated. And I think it's because of the leadership of our entire community that we've been able to get to this milestone. And it is because of the hard work and that dedication that has made Canada a leader in vaccinations on the international stage. Canada is the most vaccinated country in the G20. And I think that's something that we should be extremely proud of. Just thinking back of all that we've been through, in the past 16 months. And I know Vipul wanted me to chat a little bit about self-care, but also a little bit about my own journey. And for those who may or may not know, before I became a member of Parliament in 2015, I'm a registered nurse by profession. I was working in an oncology unit, which ensure that it kind of motivated me to get into politics to help others. And you move forward to 2020, and there's a global pandemic. And so back in March of 2020, just when this pandemic just hit, the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, requested all nurses that, if you were practicing or not practicing, or retired nurses, to sign up for the nursing shortage that we may be facing because of this pandemic. And I had signed up at that time to add my name, to respond to that call to action and to use my platform as a member of Parliament to create awareness among the broader community. And for me, and unfortunately, I had gotten COVID myself right after that, and went through a series of symptoms. It really, really was tough on me. I isolated for over a month, and I know it's been tough for so many people. And I waited to be fully recovered before I began volunteering at a long-term care in Brampton facility, which was one of the hardest hit long-term care facilities in Ontario, and where actually military was also called upon to help. And to see some of the experience there in terms of the resiliency of nurses, the resiliency of our healthcare workers, the work that they've been able to do throughout this pandemic, I have to say, I have so much more respect. Not that I did it before because I worked in the profession, but to see it during the pandemic and all that healthcare professionals I went through, it's been incredible. So during the first wave, obviously, my volunteer period ended towards the first wave. That's where Canada's global response to the pandemic, really ramped up, and how we were going to be able to respond to the needs of other countries as well. And so I was really involved with my work as Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Development at the time. That now we're kind of, Canada is taking the lead in donating the access of vaccines that we have to different vulnerable countries around the world. We've partnered up with UNICEF Canada to ensure that every dollar that you donate to UNICEF, Canadian government will also match that to ensure that there's access to vaccines around the world, because we know that we cannot beat this pandemic right here in Canada unless we beat it everywhere around the world as well. So whereas we're actually making moves domestically, and that's thanks to our incredible, obviously, Minister of Procurement, who's been able to procure so many vaccines domestically for Canada. And now that we're also thinking how Canada we're donating vaccines also to the world, but also how we're going to ensure we can support countries around the world that are living with this pandemic as we've had. So with that, also now I've been spending on my weekends at clinics in Brampton vaccinating community members, and I have to tell you, it's been so inspiring to see so many people do the right thing, stepping up and getting their vaccine. And I just want to say to all of you that have gotten your vaccine, thank you so much for doing your part, in keeping our community safe and protected against this fight against COVID-19. And I can't tell you how inspiring it is to see young people in our community, stepping up and getting their vaccines and proudly taking their shot. And so to those of you who may not have gotten your second doses yet, or are still waiting, please book your appointment. There are so many pop-up clinics, community-led pop-up clinics also in Brampton. All the information can be found at the Region of Peel website. Canada is receiving millions of vaccines every week, and we have one of the most diverse portfolios of vaccine procurement, which is going to ensure that every single person gets vaccinated. And so that's why I'm so proud of what we've been able to do. And so I just want to encourage all of you, first and foremost, when you talk about self-care, I think one of the most important things that you can do is first get vaccinated, get your second dose as well, and ensure that not only are you taking yourself, but your entire family and anyone that you can talk to that hadn't really booked their appointment yet, to book their appointment and get their both doses. And I think it's also important that as we kind of get through this pandemic, and I can't believe it's been 16 months of that we also take a moment to realize and take care of our mental health as well, because this pandemic has certainly taken a huge toll on all of us, on our communities, isolation, our seniors, our young children, and people, and so much grief and loss in the community as well. So it's really important that you also take care of yourself. Make sure you're spending some time meditating. Whether it is running, that's what I do, like running and meditating is something that's been keeping me going. But also, Canada also has a Wellness Together portal that you can use to get access to free support when it comes to your mental health. So please ensure that you use the resources that are available to us to ensure that we're taking time to take care of ourselves, because we cannot do anything else unless we take care of ourselves. So, as also things are opening up, ensure that you are still practicing, the public health guidelines that are in place. Try to be safe as much as you can. Stay safe and stay well and be well. And if there's anything I can do to support you, never hesitate to contact me or my office. Once again, Vipul, and to everyone organizing and listening, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for having these conversations and giving a space where we can talk about things that are so important in our community, and just consider me an ally and a friend and a representative to do more of these. So thank you so much. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, so that was a Member of Parliament for Brampton West, Kamal Khera. So I believe the presentations were good. It was good as expected. And thank you to all our speakers today, as well as MP Khera, all our sponsors as well, the Advanced Brampton Fund, Greens Life Sciences, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Tangentia, Truly Financial, Based Ayurved, Process Research Ortec, Dentistry on 10, and to Tejas Everly, our Health Forum Coordinator. Our next session, session number 5, will be next Saturday, July 24th. And the topic is mental health, anxiety, and how to cope with it. Once again, I encourage and request everyone to join and support this health forum as a speaker, as a participant, or by supporting it with your small or large sponsorships. So see you next Saturday. The session 4 is now officially closed. Thank you, everyone.